Welcome back to our Wealthy Mindset, where we talk about all things money, mindset, and business. It's your host, Cindy, your financial bestie and fractional CFO. And today I'm celebrating 3 years of running my business. Where does the time go? I just went down memory lane on my Instagram stories, sharing where I started to where I am now. And I can't believe I've done so much in 36 months, which is wild. So, I wanted to share my journey through it and share my top 5 lessons I've learned. So, let's get into it. So, for starters, if you haven't listened to the other episodes yet, I share where my journey started. So, I knew I wanted to do something where I can support other women. So, I ended up just starting an Instagram page. It was called Accounting 101. And I just started posting accounting and tax tips every single day. I recorded myself on camera. Even though it felt awkward and weird, I still kept showing up, regardless of how uncomfortable I felt. I remember I used to record videos in my car, just record videos as I was walking places. Even B roll felt really awkward to me, but I just kept doing it anyways. I kept showing up and I ended up getting most of my clients through my Instagram page just organically. I also included an episode on running paid ads, doing monthly webinars, and still it was majority was organic. So I just want to share that so you know that you just have to keep pushing, put yourself out there, and you'll definitely make it. You just have to start small. Now, I didn't know what I wanted to do. All I knew was I wanted to educate women, especially when it comes to finances. A lot of us have men in our households that deal with the finances. And it's not until we start our own businesses that we start taking control of our finances and want to actually learn how to manage our finances. So now I'll go over the 5 main lessons I've learned throughout the last 3 years. So, lesson one, of course, is helping everyone and understanding that burnout is really real. So, I started my business with saying yes to anybody and everybody. I was also even collaborating. I would go to real estate agencies, mortgage brokers. I had no interest in real estate taxes myself, but I was like, I just need to get myself out there. I just have to meet people, do the presentations, work with anybody just to get my business going. I was also taking on a lot of responsibility with clients. So, managing their CRA accounts, if you're in the US, that would be dealing with IRS and taxes. And it just led to so much burnout. I felt like I was chasing clients, more concerned about making the tax deadline than they were. I also was dealing with a lot of CRA calls with people not making payments and collections trying to get a hold of them. But since I was listed as their authorized representative, they would call me. So I'd have to reach out to client, letting them know CRA is calling. Can you please call them and deal with it? And it just really led to burnout. I got so sick. I gained a lot of weight. I recently in January had shingles for 6 weeks. My body has just been saying, we've done this for 10 plus years. We can't continue with the busy tax season grind anymore. So that's what really led me to more financial strategy and coaching, because dealing with finances and financial education isn't just a Canadian problem, it's a global problem. And only 2% of women ever hit 7 figures, and only 12% hit 6 figures, which is such a low amount. So, the lesson here is yes, I said yes to everybody. It led to burnout, it led me to exhausted, and then I really just had to burn down my tax business altogether right now. And I'm rebuilding on what feels good to me. I've had to let go of clients that no longer aligned. I no longer felt like I could babysit and support. I really want to work with women that are like, okay, I know this is uncomfortable, but I know I need to deal with it. And just because you can help everyone doesn't mean you should. Just because I know how to file tax returns doesn't mean I need to be helping with self-employed people, corporate people, doing general consulting with clients who already have accountants. Like I was doing a lot of everything, and I felt like I was just attracting the wrong type of clients. So now I'm working with women who are ready to build something sustainable and aligned. I also want to say, even discovery calls, like understanding that the discovery call is just as much for you as for the other person. For me, when I was doing discovery calls, I was just like, okay, like this person needs help with taxes. I can help them. This is my prices. Like, let's get started. But from the beginning, I could see that if they're not ready to get started on their taxes, they're going to take a while. Like, I'm going to have to constantly follow up and deal with that rather than them saying, I know I need to deal with my taxes. Tell me what I need to do. And then I'll send you everything and let's just get on it. So I want you to understand that discovery calls, understand, like, sit with it and ask yourself, is this person aligned with who I am and the work that I do? Or are you just saying yes to them for the money? And you can see it being a pain or a headache later down the road. So that's an important lesson as well. So use a discovery call, pre-qualify people. And if they're not aligned, it's okay to say, I don't think you're the right fit, but I can give you some other recommendations instead. So that's what I've started to do if I feel like I'm no longer helping self-employed people right now, so I'm just telling them I can connect you with another accountant that can support you. So lesson 2, hiring isn't the answer if your systems suck. So year 2 of my business, I've tried hiring. I hired a bookkeeper, I hired the VA, I've hired other accountants, like I've tried it all, and it does not work because, for example, I took on a lot of bookkeeping work and I thought I had reliable bookkeepers, but people were not aligned. I even used offshore bookkeeping to keep costs low. But even with that, I felt like I had to go back and fix their expenses, the way they recorded things. And it didn't help me at all. Instead, I was spending more time trying to fix things once I started filing their tax returns, also, being the middle person with asking the client for their bank statements, records, and then giving it to the bookkeeper and then dealing with the bookkeeper. It was just a lot of work. And I feel like I don't enjoy bookkeeping. I'm not in QuickBooks or in Xero on the day to day. I'm good at preparing taxes, doing tax planning, doing financial strategy with clients, and that's what I need to focus on. Now, with accountants, I did have a really good person. He ended up leaving because he started on his own business, but that was like a good process. And I really had found like the right type of person. And it was so supportive during tax season this year. So I'm definitely looking for another person that can support me on the back end. I did recently hire an online business manager. She's helping me with like my back end stuff, really making sure my like automations, funnels, everything's working properly for her profit era. So that's been super helpful. I'm still looking for someone that could support me with the emails. I'm really quick at responding, even though I was managing 200 clients. I would still respond right away to all my emails and was making sure that even if I didn't have the answer for the client, I would still let them know, like, I got your question. I'll get back to you in like a day or two. That way, they have a response. I see a lot of professionals in a lot of businesses where they get emails or inquiries and then it takes weeks to hear back from them. And I find that like the quicker you respond, the better reputation and like your image. Even for myself, I was just looking for like a hair salon. I messaged a bunch of people and like nobody really responded. Or their Instagram bio says send DMs for appointments or inquiries and you hear nothing. So if that's the case, you're extremely busy, I would highly encourage you to look for VAs and people that have experience in your industry. For myself, the mistake I made was I was just hiring in general for business. And with accounting and taxes in Canada, like there's specific tax deadlines, dealing with CRA, answering specific tax questions that not a general VA would know how to deal with. So now I'm looking for the proper person. I also was quick to hire because I wanted to hire someone before tax season started. So I got people in. There was just a lot of issues. I also didn't want to be on calls and like doing trainings. I didn't have any systems or processes even documented. I've been kind of running everything through my own head and like everything's just in my brain. So my OBM's really helping me document all my processes now so that when I do hire the right type of person, they know exactly what to do and how to deal with certain clients. So I'd highly encourage you to hire slow, fire fast. I'm sure you've heard that. And also build your systems. So like document all of your operations, your systems, everything you do that's in your head, write it down. Because even down the road when you decide to like sell your business or someone else takes over, you have systems in place and they can go through your manuals or processes and everything and they can figure out what's going on. So like imagine me when I pass away or something happens and I'm unable to work with my tax clients. I could have another accountant just come in, look at my systems and processes, go through my CRM system and know what's going on with that client, how to respond to them, their tax filing deadlines, and so on. So I highly encourage you to get into the habit of documenting everything. It's going to be time consuming at first, but after you do it, you're going to feel like, oh my gosh, like I can let go of everything in my head. So, lesson number 3 is if you don't put yourself out there, no one will know you exist. Now, let me talk about this. I was such a shy person. I hated public speaking. I would be all sweaty, gross. I had a hard time speaking up in my corporate job. I didn't really like socializing, networking, or anything. I would always need like alcohol to really socialize with people and feel like it would help me like open up more. But ever since I started my business, like the whole thing, I've had to put myself out there, which is like speaking on camera. I started networking. I started going to like beauty events, like any women's type of event. I was there. I was joining those communities because I was thinking all the other accountants, like they're just sitting in their offices. They're not really connecting with their ideal client. And for me, it was all about building a relationship with people. So I wasn't out there networking, pitching my services, handing out my business cards. For me, it was about connecting with other women, entrepreneur to entrepreneur. Because at the end of the day, I was still an entrepreneur. I'm still launching a business. I'm still working through it. So just talking to people, connecting with them. I would travel. Vancouver's like an hour away from where I'm at. So I would travel, I would make the commitment, I would do things, even podcasts, like I was a guest, and I just kept putting myself out there. So people need to know what you offer in order to work with you. So going to events, being a guest on podcasts, speaking gigs. I'm going to Rich Girl New York in August and speaking there. I also got an opportunity to speak for a tattoo collective. They're paying like for my hotel, they're paying me 4 figures. Like all those opportunities wouldn't have come up if I didn't put myself out there. For example, with the Rich Girl New York, how did that come up? Well, my client, Katrina Owens, she was looking for an accountant. Well, she found me on Instagram. We connected. I've been working with her. This is going to be the 3rd year of me doing her taxes. And I built a relationship with her. I was looking for support with marketing and media. She worked with me for PR, really supported me on that side. And it's all about relationship building. She connected me with Brittany and John. I started working with John for his coaching. The opportunity came up to go to Orlando, and they were like, we see something in you, and we want you to speak in New York in August. But it all comes down to building relationships. So you can go to events, find things that are making you uncomfortable, and just put yourself out there. If I didn't go to those events, I went to all those events alone. I didn't know anybody. I would just show up, just start talking to people, and people wouldn't believe that I'm an accountant. I do taxes because they're like, we have this image in mind of what accountants look like, how they are, and you're totally the opposite. And I took that as a compliment and I just kept showing up. For example, with the Alex Hormozy workshop, I was reading one of his books. I think it was $100 million offers. And I just went on his website to get like a worksheet he had mentioned in his like audio or like in the book. And once I was there, the workshop came up and it's like, oh, you can apply. Like, we only accept 50 businesses. I thought, what's the worst that could happen? Like, I get on a call, they tell me no because I'm not big enough. I'm not hitting $1 million in my business. I got on that call. They qualified me. I answered a bunch of questions about where I want to go with the business. And they were like, okay, like, you're in. So I went last year in September. I got in a room where I was making the least amount of revenue compared to everybody else. But everyone in that room was so kind, so supportive. Everyone's openly discussing like how much they're making, what they're doing. I got so much feedback for what I need to do, like in terms of hiring. My time is the biggest constraint in the business and really just understanding what I need to do. Instead of feeling like, why am I going? What's the point? I just felt like I need to get into that room. So I went to Vegas alone. It was scary, but that room helped me really think big. Like, I'm not thinking big enough. I have been playing small as an accountant, feeling like I live in a small city an hour away from Vancouver. Like, who's going to notice me? But you need to put yourself out there if you want things to happen for you. Lesson 4 was stop treating your business like a side hustle. So, for so long, I felt like I was so consumed by the day to day. I was doing accounting and taxes, I was doing consulting, I was doing like fractional CFO side. I wanted to do more speaking opportunities. I feel like, and I hosted like 3 different events as well. I felt like I was doing a bit of everything. I really wanted to do more financial coaching and helping women worldwide. But I just kept playing small behind taxes and told myself, I'm a tax accountant. I'm a CP in Canada. Like, there's no way. What's the point of going to events in like Orlando, New York? Like, what's the point of all of this? But I started to realize like I'm playing small. I am treating my financial strategy coaching like a side hustle, and I wasn't really serious about it. And I felt like I was making good money through the tax side, so why would I want to give that up? So, building my clarity control cash flow framework, saying no to the wrong clients, not pricing for profit, I really was treating my business like a side hustle and the financial strategy side as not a priority. I was playing it safe. So if you are working in your business, you've started up a certain way, but you really want to go in a different direction, stop treating it like a side hustle, stop making excuses, and just go all in. Right now, I'm in such a messy middle aspect of running my business. I launched Her Profit Era. That program's slowly growing. I am doing fractional CFO work, and I still have the accounting and tax side going. So just understanding that you need to focus on what you want, regardless of how comfortable what you don't like is. When I stopped focusing on working so hard on the tax side, I'm really just leaning into building this podcast, putting myself out there, getting media features, openly talking about fractional CFO stuff. I really started shifting the way I saw things, and I'm just like, I'm going all in. If this is fully aligned with who I am, like I need to do it. Lesson 5, you're allowed to want more. So Hormozi's event, I'm going again in September. This time they're going to work with me inside of my business. I'm going to be working directly with Hormozi's team, speaking in Rich Girl New York, being in a room full of millionaires, being in a room full of women that want to do big things. It made me stop shrinking, and I believe that I deserve to be in that room. For example, with this podcast, I was like, I just want to show up and show what it takes to actually build a business and speak about money openly. There's so much shame around money, and my goal with this podcast is to just make money more simple and a conversation we can have. The guests that I have on these episodes, they openly share about their money struggles. They run successful businesses. And I just want to normalize that conversation because we didn't learn it in school. How we grew up around money is what we carry with us in our businesses. And I really just want women to be like, okay, this is the way I grew up, but I'm not stuck there. I can work through my money beliefs because they weren't even my beliefs to begin with. So you are allowed to want more, regardless of what type of business you're in, whether you're working 9 to 5, you can have anything you want. If you asked me 36 months ago if I saw myself speaking on stage in New York, I would be like, no way. How could a tax accountant in Canada be speaking at an event in New York? What would I possibly say? And now look at how things have unfolded. I have an Instagram highlight story of my story going through when I started to where I am now. So if you wanted to check that out, you totally can. But I just want you to know, start thinking bigger. What's the worst that could happen? You put yourself out there and people say no to you. Big deal. You keep doing it over and over. For example, at the beginning of my business, I was doing 5 reach outs every single day, whether it was emailing, sending cold DMs, sending voice notes to people. Like I was doing it all. And I'm doing the same now too. I'm sending emails to different businesses, talking about my fractional CFO services, just making sure that I put myself out there and I can work with so many people. And you need to start doing that too. I never thought my business would become this. I originally started thinking that I need to build like an accounting and tax full agency, have the bookkeepers, have the tax accountants. I'm just going to be the CEO, just managing everything. But I realized that wasn't for me. I want to build a business that feels meaningful to me, where I can work out in the middle of the day if I wanted to. I can take care of myself. I can go for a massage or do all these things midday or on a random weekday because I can. So many of us start our businesses to leave our 9 to 5 mindset and the way things are structured, but we end up defaulting to operating our businesses the exact same way. So if things don't feel good in your business, or if there's a collaboration or something you really want to happen, put it out there. Now, my goal, I'm openly sharing this. I want to collaborate with a beauty school like Blanche McDonald or JCI Institute, any of these like big kind of schools, and be able to either come up with like a collaboration agreement. Maybe I could teach her profit era, or maybe even license like my program. That is the goal. I really just want financial education to be out there. And I'm not afraid to be small. Like, I'm going to keep putting myself out there regardless of how I feel. I've felt kind of crappy these last couple weeks, feeling like I'm all over the place right now. Like, I have no sense of direction. But just reflecting back on what has happened in the last 3 years, guys, that's 36 months. If you started doing something today consistently, where would you be in 36 months? Think about even 12 months. Think smaller, 6 months. Like, it's all possible for you too. And I can't wait for like what's going to happen by the end of where I am next year at year 4. Because I'm going to have like Rich Girl, I'm going to be speaking more, I'm going to have like a collaboration deal by then too. And I want the same for you. So if there's anything you took away from this episode, it's stop playing small. No one knows you exist if you never talk about your services or who you are as a person. I identified as an accountant, a CPA, and hid behind that for so long. But once I started talking about myself, Cindy, as a person, things have shifted. So if there's anything you take away from this episode, I want you to just make a list of everything that you want, regardless of how big or impossible it may seem, because you wouldn't believe that it could happen. And I know it's going to happen for you too. So that's it for today's episode, and I'll see you next time.